Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live bright and early on a new day. Actually, it's 12 noon. Doc Ock at noon and 9. You know that's our time. We offer up another rhyme and a story as well. Today, our proverb is, "Fool and water will go the way they are diverted." A fool and water will go the way they are diverted. That's an Ethiopian proverb, and it goes right along with our story of the day, which is out of the book My Life in the Bush of Ghosts by Amos Tutuola. And the story is the river ghost, Gala-Day, under the river. So you remember from our last chapter, previous chapter, that our hero has been transmogrified again some kind of way. I can't remember exactly how they transmogrified him, but they've got him in a jar. His body is in a jar. His neck is like a long, stiff stick that can't bend, unbendable stick. And his head is huge, sticking out of this jar. And they had put him at the crossroads, at the center of a road. Now, if you know anything about the Yoruba and Yoruba cosmology, you know that there's a special deity, God, in the Yoruba religion by the name of Eshu. And he's the God of the crossroads. And this God of the crossroads is one that determines which way you will go. Will things go well for you, or will they go bad for you? They call him Eshu, and he can be very difficult to deal with, because if he decides things are going to go bad for you, that's the direction you're going. You're going down a real bad path. You're going right down the rabbit hole. But if he decides things are going to go good for you, things will go good. So this is where they place him, just to give you an idea of the significance of putting him out there on this road, because all of this relates back to the Yoruba cosmology, as well as the Christian ideas and ideals. Like the wedding he had previously was very much like a Christian wedding, where you have to be baptized, etc., except that, you know, he had to be baptized by fire. So, so these river ghosts live under a river, and his head is still big, and he's still trapped in this jar. One night at about 2 a.m., I saw many ghosts who came to me and put me inside a big bag, which they brought. After that, one of them put me on his head, and then from there to their own town, which was under a big river, because they are river ghosts, which means they stole me from this center of the roads to their town. Having reached their town, they took me to their chief ancestor, who sat down on an idle chair before a fearful god, which they supposed to be the most powerful among their gods, which they were worshiping in this town. Then they put me down before him, as he was the one who ordered them to go and steal me from the center of the roads when they heard information about me. Immediately I was presented to him. He sent for a ram. Then he killed it before me and poured its blood onto my big head, which was as big as an elephant's head, and also fearful to look at. After they cooked the flesh of this ram and put the best fleshy parts of it before me to eat. But as I started to eat it, the whole of them were very surprised and were exceedingly glad, as all their gods that I met there could not eat, breathe, or make any sign. But as these river ghosts, or skeptical ghosts, hate the heavenly God most and love earthly gods most, anything they wanted to do, the chief ancestor would ask me first. And if I made a sign with my head, which would show him that the request should be done, then he would tell the rest. that I favored them to do the request. But if the sign showed that their request should not be done, then he would tell the rest that the requests are not granted by me, so therefore the request would be canceled at the same time. The chief ancestor was my interpreter, as he only was permitted by his highest title to approach me at any time. As I was so highly recognized by these river ghosts or skeptical ghosts, so they built a one-roomed house and put me inside it, and all of them were coming there to worship and sacrifice me there as well. I was feeding on any sacrifice that I wanted and drinking the blood of the animals which they were killing and pouring on me as water, because they were not giving me any water to drink. But as the blood was always pouring on me, so it was attracting flies, which were covering me totally all the time. And I had no hands to drive them away. Even sometime, if the chief ancestor came in to visit me, he would not be able to discover me among these flies unless he first drove them away with a broom before he could see me. When it was a week that they had brought me to their town, the whole of them gathered together. First of all, they opened the room in which they put me. After that, the chief ancestor, who only is permitted to approach me or to talk to me, washed my head with a long, stiff neck, as only both appeared out from the picture. After this, he put a small, red, hand-sewn cloth on the long neck, which just made it more ugly. After this, he put a kind of ghost's face cap on this, my big head, which made it more fearful to see. After that, he put a kind of smoking pipe, which was about 6 feet long, into my mouth. This smoking pipe could contain half a ton of tobacco at a time. Then he chose one ghost to be loading this pipe with tobacco whenever it discharged fire. When he lit the pipe with fire, then the whole of the ghosts and ghostesses were dancing round me set by set. They were singing, clapping hands, ringing bells, and their ancestral drummers were beating the drums in such a way that all the dancers were jumping up with gladness. But whenever the smoke of the pipe was rushing out from my mouth, as if smoke is rushing from a big boiler, then all of them would laugh at me, so that a person 2 miles away would hear them clearly. And whenever the tobacco inside the pipe is near to finish, then the ghost who was chosen to be loading it would load it again with fresh tobacco, as it was about 3 feet deep and 4 feet in diameter. After some hours that I was smoking this pipe, I was intoxicated by the gas of the tobacco, as if I drank much hard liquor, because it was only ghosts could smoke such tobacco, and it was only in the bush of ghosts such tobacco could be found. So at this time, I forgot all my sorrow and started to sing the earthly songs which sorrow prevented me from singing about since I entered this bush. But when all these ghosts were hearing the song, they were dancing from me to a distance of about 5,000 feet, and then dancing back to me again, as they were much appreciating the song, and also to hear my voice was curious to them. After a while, all of them surrounded me closely, opened their mouths downward, and looked at me with surprise. But as I was more intoxicated by the gas of the tobacco, and also as the pipe was loaded continuously with fresh tobacco, by the ghost who was specially chosen to be loading it, so by that I could not stop or tire of singing. And again, my town songs were then rushing to my heart at that time. So as they bent their mouths, which opened with great surprise downward onto my head, the spit of these mouths was dropping on me and wet me as if I bathed with water. The spit was smelling so badly that it was hard for me to breathe out or in. After they listened to my songs for about half an hour, the chief ancestor took me out of this room, which was specially built for me. Then he rooted out a tall coconut tree, which was about 300 feet long. After that, he put me on the top of this tree. Then another ghost, who was next in rank to him, put the tree on his head upright, which means I was on the topmost of it. After that, he jumped together with the tree onto the chief ancestor's head. So the chief ancestor, the one on his head who was next in rank to him, the tree, and myself on this tree with all the rest ghosts and ghostesses were dancing together. That must have been a real sight. But as I was intoxicated more and more by the gas of the tobacco, which I was smoking in the pipe, and also as the ghost who was loading it with fresh tobacco was so busy in loading it so that he could not see or talk to anybody at all that time. So I was singing other earthly melodious songs which sorrow prevented me singing since I entered into this bush, in such a way that all the ghosts or every creature of this town were dancing, singing, and shouting with joy and running warmly up and down in the town. But as this Gala-Day was so highly recognized with the new earthly songs which I was singing, so the king of the bush of ghosts, whose seat is at the 20th town of ghosts, which is the capital of all the towns of ghosts, sent an invisible message to the chief ancestor to bring me to him when he heard the information. But as the 20th town was very far away, and again the invisible message was very urgent, so as all of these ghosts, together with the coconut tree, were dancing up and down in the town as a crazy man, there I saw unexpectedly that one quill appeared on each side of the picture in which I was on the top of the coconut tree. After that, one quill appeared on each side of the coconut tree as well. Then ordinary feathers appeared on both arms of the ghost, but the quills that appeared on the chief ancestor's arms were the longest and strongest, because he would be the one who would carry the coconut tree together with me. After that, the whole of us flew by air to the 20th town, the seat of his imperial majesty, the king of the bush of ghosts. Ooh, so the next chapter will be in the 20th town of ghosts, where our hero gets to meet the king of all the ghost towns in the bush of ghosts, the king of the bush of ghosts. What I see, this is a good thing that I haven't read this story in so long, this book. So I don't remember everything that happens in it either. So it's almost as fresh to me as it is to you. I just know that it was a definite odyssey, and he went through a lot of trials and tribulations during his journey in the bush of ghosts, which, by the way, doesn't sound that much different than LA. Okay. I did 5 years in LA, and it really don't sound that much different, dealing with them Bloods and Crips and Pirates. Okay. Yeah. And plus you had to deal with the Popo. Yeah. I think I could write my life in the bush of ghosts. Well, at any rate, our story is done. I hope you had fun. And now it's time for me to make a run. I will see you tomorrow without any sorrow. But, you know, we're always here tonight because this is Doc Ock at noon and 9. So hope to see you here again at 9 so we can all feel fine. Bring all your children. Bring your mama, your daddy, your granddaddy, your grandmama. Bring your aunt, your uncle. Bring all your cousins. Invite everybody you know to come tonight as we continue telling more children's stories. All the stories, by the way, that I tell at 9 o'clock, those are all just for the children. All the ones, well, mainly for the children. All the ones I tell at noon have been labeled as not child friendly, so to speak. Okay, so that way you all have some control over who gets to see what. So these ones I do at noon are strictly for the adults, just to help take your mind off of everything else that's swirling around you. I know our proverb for today was What was it again? How did it go? Oh, let me see. What did it say here? Proverb for the day was, a fool and water will go the way they are diverted. A fool and water will go the way they are diverted. So I'm doing this somewhat as a bit of a diversion, but that doesn't mean I think y'all are fools. Okay, and that includes you out there, Mona Love. I see you, as well as Denise Jenkins. How y'all doing out there? Good to see you. Hope to see you again in the evening. And right now we are signing off. See you next time. Peace out.